These right here smells of baby powder and fresh air. I think it wants me to go outside. That's okay, that's what I wanted to do anyway. But it's so nice out. And if I can't see in the sun, I'm gonna have to stay in the shade, but that's okay. Ooh. This camera doesn't adjust well to the sun. All the leaves are falling. Debating. So, today I'm feeling a lot better than yesterday. My mood has improved tremendously. And I'm very thankful for that. Sometimes in my life I have days where the memories that I'm confronted with are just seemingly trying to put me in a bad mood. And then other days the memories are very enjoyable. So today my memories are a few years ago, during some of the last days at my old house that my family lived at from like 2013 to 2024 or something. Wait, no, that's not right. Let me get the math right. I would have been 5 in preschool, right? 6, 7, 8. Yeah, I think it was 2013. 2013 to 2023. So, there was a golf course near our house. And, you know, I've heard of the thing of golf courses. When I would hang out with a friend like 45 minutes away, they would always tell me about how rude the owners were, and if you trespassed, you would get the cops called on you. But I didn't consider this for my own golf course near my own house. So I was bored one day baking banana bread, which turned out absolutely disgusting, by the way, because we were out of some ingredients, and it was really gross. And so I was trying to make it a healthy version with, like, whole grain wheat flour, because we didn't have white flour, and I don't think we had eggs either. And I put almonds in it, and it tasted really bad. I also used maple syrup or something for... Anyway, that's beside the point. What I was trying to say, my story is, I just went on a walk, because I used to walk around my old house every day. I used to ride my bike sometimes down to the next town over. After the calm after the storm, trying to just process all my emotions and thoughts of everything that had been happening. So I went to the golf course, and I think it was, could have been the same time of year, honestly. And I had such an enjoyable day there, just taking in the sunlight and the fresh air and the nice weather. I just walked around exploring, like, because there were some, like, wooded areas in the middle of the golf course with, like, abandoned old trucks and a lot of rusted, just rotting buckets and, like, a lot of industrial things. So I was just exploring all that stuff. There was an old golf cart, and then I was just walking around pretty much the entire golf course, and it was all pretty isolated, so once you were in there, there's no roads or anything, so no one's going to see you. So I gathered some golf balls, all the ones that were like colorful, like gold, silver, pink, yellow, orange. I put them in my hoodie pocket, and I was wearing my sunburnt gold or like orange flip-flops from like Hollister or something, with a pink strap between my toes, the plastic ones. And I had on my llama socks, my pink fluffy llama socks. I know, socks with flip-flops. Just a sin. And the grass was very damp in some areas, so I had to, like, careful where I stepped not to get my socks soaking wet. And I sat on, like, a big rusted metal pipe thing that was just laying on the side of the, like, green area. And I just felt the sun on the skin of my face and just breathed in all of life, because it was, like, the most peaceful and, like, serene experience that I had had in a while. So at the end of my journey, there's a pond, an abandoned escalator, or excavator, and I noticed there was some area where people drove in and dumped a bunch of stuff, like there were some just abandoned Christmas trees and pumpkins and garbage bags of leaves, and there's a like rotten, decaying like commercial truck. So I climbed up on the excavator and I was just enjoying my time. Then I was thinking maybe I should come back and get some photos for Instagram up here. It would be a cool spot. I found an old sweatshirt in the back of the truck that had like moss growing all over it, and it was like stuck to the bed of it because of how long it had been there for. And then I like tried moving it with a stick. And I even went into the woods. There was a little like stream through a little valley that I chilled at for a little bit. That was my first time ever being in that neighborhood that I had gone there. Other than like one time I went golfing with my dad, but that was a lot more within parameters. And then the timing of it. So after this incredibly beautiful experience of a day I had, just taking in all of nature and feeling great, I started walking back toward the exit, which is to a little road right next to my house. And there's a very long distance to get to the road from where I was, so I had to walk just in plain view of people on the road. And I was really nervous I was gonna get caught. So I made it all the way to the like entranceway of the golf course, just on the other side of the finish line. And then of course I see a white SUV pull up, a big white Escalade, and I'm like, you gotta kill me. And I was like, there are cameras around, but I wasn't sure whether or not people actually just spend their life stalking their cameras, or I like tried avoiding the cameras, so but I don't know if it was just a coincidence or if they saw me on the cameras. But they pulled up, and after seeing all that I had seen with all the junk that they were dumping, I was like, they're not gonna be happy to know. You know, like, they probably don't want people seeing that. It's an ego thing. So this middle-aged woman with like blown, dried hair gets out. And I just walk up to her accepting fate. I don't even like try running. And obviously she comes off very agitated, but trying to be respectful, even though you could tell she was having a bad day. And I'm just like listening to her like, okay. And she was like telling me, you can leave. But she kept stuttering, which I think annoyed her even more. And I was just like, she was like, if you want to come on here, it's private property, you can come when the season's open and you can pay the fee to go on here. And I was like, in my head, I had many other thoughts, but I didn't say any. what I said was, okay, sorry about that. And then she showed me the way out, so I was like, okay, have a good day. And she was like, and isn't this the second time I'm seeing you? And I was like, I don't think so. And she was like, yeah, it is. Don't come back here. And I was like, next one. So yeah, that was just a very good, smack in the face to reality of the fact that, unfortunately, people think they're entitled to this land because they own it with money, and they don't realize that Earth is literally a free place for all of us, where we all are here mysteriously for unknown reasons and circumstances, and, we don't know anything about, we don't own this planet. You can pay a fee to own this planet, but that doesn't mean that you're the one who, created it. It just annoyed me, because me being a little girl whose parents are getting a divorce, and who's going through a breakup, and who's, really just alone and sad all the time, has a really nice experience out here, and then this is how it has to come to an end. But I didn't even let it bother me. I mean, it did bother me, and I did cry about it after, because it's just really sad that has to be reality, but I also understood, and I took it as, this is a lesson for future me, because I know what I believe in is correct, and these people are just talking a bunch of shit because that's what they believe in. And basically, people just, whatever the government is built off of, a bunch of lies, to back up people's prides and whatever they want in life, it's kind of foolish that they use that just as all the justification to them just thinking they deserve more than others, or them feeling entitled to something just because it's their legal right. So what happens when, this whole legal train gets derailed, and then we have to figure out how to live without the government? Because that's a very real possibility. When there's something that exists that is very much fabricated out of people's ideas and lies and beliefs, those things are subject to change on a whim. It's pretty much as solid as the air is. All it really takes for these concepts and constructs to hold power is the belief of the masses, filling the gas air balloon with more. But if you talk some sense into people and be like, hey, why are you doing that? It's really bad for the environment, to where they're able to understand, that's half the battle. The other half is getting them to care. Because, unfortunately, they've also provided us with a bunch of stuff nowadays that brings comfort and good feelings and addiction to our lives, to where our brains don't function sober as well as they used to, and we're very reliant on a lot of things, to where a lot of us who just look straightforward to what's in their hand or something, and don't really think that much about where we come from. A lot of us are not even able to see what really matters. Addiction is kind of a illness of selfishness, in my opinion. It's you're not able to be addicted to something if you're unselfish. Because the psychology behind an addiction is very self-centered, to where it's just whatever makes you feel good. It becomes eventually an illness, because without it, you're gonna get really sick, and then it's like you're kind of trapped in this selfishness. But that's your own doing, so you kind of did it yourself. And it's not even physical addictions either. It's sometimes just the obsessive train of thought that's also just as bad, if not worse. Because it's kind of like OCD in a way, where you obsess over something so much until you have to do something about it. And that's not something that's really caused by physical factors. That's something that just goes on in people's heads sometimes. So that's kind of where the flaw is apparent, that it's just really the mind, and it's a flaw, a character flaw of what goes on in here. If you're not able to be honest with yourself, or those you're closest to, or strangers, those are all big issues. Because rejecting the belief of your own feelings and your inner thoughts and knowledge, which we're all pretty much born understanding, like what's good and what's bad. If you are to just shove that part of you down for one moment in your life, knowing that is wrong, but then you do it again, and then you do it again and again, eventually you're going to get used to it, to where you forget even how you got into a sort of messy situation, because it started with you pushing down your true feelings until, like, they're just dormant beneath you, and you're not even able to acknowledge that. It's So after she got back in her car and I headed back home, she continued driving up the driveway, like toward the back of the golf course. So I don't know if she was checking to see if I like did anything I wasn't supposed to, but like, or if she was just going to dump some more of her junk at her golf course. Which I don't blame. I wouldn't really, if I was dumping junk on some land that I owned legally, I wouldn't want someone to be stumbling across it either, because that would be kind of like, it's a business area. You don't want your, like, customers or just other people knowing that, like, you just basically litter in this thing that makes you a lot of money, that you hold a lot of joy in, kind of like makes it seem like it's not as worth it, kind of tarnishes the whole idea that it's like this really nice golf course, when you know that the owners are just dumping their shit in like the corner of it. But whatever, like, people are gonna do what they want to do anyway. But do what you want to do, and you're gonna get judged. And then if the judgments are true, and if there's truth to them, then I would say that's a good thing that they're being said. Because everyone deserves to know the truth. And I think most people should try, well, there's a common thing I see where there's a lot of people who don't even understand themselves, to where they just, like, it makes me think maybe they just don't have a brain. And I know that's really rude for me to say, and I'm sorry if that offends some people, but there's some people that I just look at as I'm, like, working or something, and I'm, like, putting groceries in a bag for my customers, and then the cashier's just standing there looking around, like, as I have a bunch of food still on the conveyor belt that I'm trying to put away, and there's a person waiting to go through the line, and she's just standing there, like, oblivious, like, are you, like, you do realize that, like, this is kind of your job too. Like, I know that your boss told you that Instacart workers are supposed to put the groceries away themselves, but, like, as a human being, don't you think you just want to, like, maybe help out a little bit, just because, like, it's a common courtesy thing to do when there's people waiting, and, it's just, like, instead you'd rather just stand there and look into a space, like, nice weather we're having. And it really just annoyed me, like, why do manipulative people have to take advantage and brainwash those lesser than them? Like, these people lesser than them, they're literally just using as their pawns, and they'll believe anything they say, and they know they will, and that's why they have workers there. It's like they're trying to keep them oblivious and naive, and it's not right. Like, that cashier has the potential to know better, but what she's being told is a bunch of shit that's making it so that she doesn't know any better. I do believe that if someone has a brain, which everyone does because we're alive, they're able to just improve upon themselves. It just, depending on the person, takes a lot of different things. And I'm going to make probably like a few different parts of this because I'm really enjoying it out here, and I hope you guys are too. And yeah, I'm just like being honest. Like, these are the thoughts of someone who doesn't talk to any other people, so it's very easy for me to be able to just be 100% raw, even if it comes off like asshole-ish. Like, my bad, that's not my intentions. Like, but I don't have any friends, so it's like I can pretty much say anything I want, and I don't have to hold back or be concerned about losing something if I say something, which I think is pretty nice. It's it's a choice that I've made, never really knowing why, but anyway, that's enough of me flattering myself. So let's now just what's it called when the train tracks like move to the next, like, turns to the other train tracks, like, I don't know, transfer the rail beneath us. Definitely not the word. So I I texted a friend that I've had since freshman year yesterday, and it's always really nice because even during that story I was talking about of the golf course, that was during a time when I reconnected with him, and I really just poured out my heart to him, and he responded at first, but once I started going into really, really long paragraphs, he just, like, he said he read everything, He just didn't know what to say, so he just thought about it. And I believe him. And anyone who hears me talk about him is usually going to say something out of jealousy, like, I don't know. But him and I have had a really good friendship since we first met. And I sat next to him at the lunch table. At least I think so. Part 2 coming in a few hours, probably.